morning. Welcome to worship. My name is Andy. My pronouns are he, him, his. It's great to be with you all this morning. Thank you, Bill, for that beautiful prelude. Later in the service, we're going to get to hear from Erica. Unfortunately, Dylan came down with COVID yesterday. And so we want to be in prayer for Dylan. Dylan, if you're watching, pray for your recovery. We're thankful for Erica stepping in to play for us this morning. All the songs are different than what's printed in the bulletin. So we made some changes. And later in the service also, you're going to hear a song sung by Dylan because it was really important to the sermon that Don Wendell's going to be preaching later. And so instead of having Dylan sing it live, we had a recording of it. We turned it into a music video last night. So you are in for a treat, and Dylan will still be with us here in person. I also want to recognize and give thanks for those that helped install our new fountain. Thank you, Amy Mormino, and those in the trustees. Beautiful fountain out there. Thank you. And welcome back, Charlie and Marla. Welcome back. It's good to have you here with us. This Sunday today, as we listen to a really important story that was on Don's heart, he wanted to share. It inspired him so much that Don purchased for the church a podcast studio that's there in the back corner, a professional podcasting studio, because he felt called to start a podcast and wanted to make the opportunity available to anyone in the church that wanted to start their own podcast, or people in the community as well. And so that podcast center will get a lot of attention in the years to come. And Don, it's a very important legacy that you've left. And so today you're going to have a taste of the first podcast that he's doing in the form of a sermon and the music video. So again, Don, thank you so much for your generosity. In that spirit, let us join together in these words of welcome. Allendale United Methodist Church is a reconciling congregation. We affirm the sacred worth of all people and strive to practice Christ's example of unconditional love without exclusion. All are welcome to participate fully in the life and ministries of this congregation. Whatever your race, ethnicity, economic situation, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, background or belief, age or condition of ableness, whether single or partnered, you are God's beloved and are welcome here. God calls us to acts of love, grace, and advocacy to promote healing and reconciliation. We are building a new Allendale, a place without barriers, a sanctuary for all. I want to invite you to stand and sing.
Good morning, church.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. In this maze you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, treat people the same, stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same song, singing songs of freedom like way up, way up, way up, way up. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
Morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Bob Wallace, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. Please join me responsively in the call to worship. We enter this space rooted within our sacred worth, with beloved blooming in our hearts like wildflowers. The living God does not shame us for who we are. They are abundantly gracious and compassionate. We enter this space trusting the work of liberation. Our efforts mingle and swell as we work for others. The living God delights in us. Let us work God. Let us pray. Spirit of understanding, when lives overwhelm us, we sometimes soothe our nerves systems in ways that do not serve us. We turn to substances, negative self-talk, self-harm, mindless scrolling, and overworking. Where we feel shame around these patterns, meet us with your abundant compassion. Grant us the courage, community, and support we need to move through this pain in our lives. We are ready to help us. When we are ready, help us to weave a new story. Amen.
Rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. Sing that again. No, I don't want to rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your presence. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Oh God, I want to love like you. I want to feel what you feel. I want to see what you see. Oh God, I want to love like you. I want to feel what you feel. I want to see what you see. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Open my eyes, I want to see you. Open my ears, I want to hear you speak. Tell me your I'll be your friend. I wanna see through your eyes. I wanna see through your eyes. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. I'm not in a hurry when it comes to your spirit, when it comes to your presence, when it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking.
Good morning. I'm inviting all of my children to come down and sit with me. All of my little children, would you like to come up? Come on. Thank you. Erica, could you strum them on up? Thank you. Come on up. Oh, we have a shy one. Good morning. Yeah, you can sit there. You can sit here with me. Awesome. Thank you. How about we wave to everyone? They always wave back. Isn't that amazing? So how are we doing this morning? Good? I have a question. What brings you joy? What makes you smile?
Your friends,
Your friends?
your family,
Your family? You must be a happy kid. Ben, what brings you joy?
my family,
His family. That's great. Tara, what brings you joy? Mickey Mouse? I'm pretty sure Mickey Mouse brings her joy. I've seen it. Elijah, what brings you joy? Stickers. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you know what brings me joy? It's very similar to my family and friends, but it's people here at Allendale. They give off so much love and so much happiness, and it brings me joy. How can we show joy to other people? Could we,
by being kind to them,
by being kind, could we smile? Yeah. I have to wear a mask right now for safety, and so people can't see me smile. So I had to think of a new way to show everyone my joy. So I have a really secret gift. It's called bubbles. Bubbles bring everyone joy, right? See, I knew it. Let's do it again. There are so many ways that we can bring joy, even if we can't smile or be kind. Maybe the person's too far away to hear us say good morning. We could wave, or we could just give out bubbles. So this morning, I want y'all to show everyone here at Allendale how much joy they bring with your own thing of bubbles. How's that sound? So I'm going to pass it. Oops. Elijah, do you want bubbles? Awesome. So we're going to go show our joy to all the people with our bubbles. Yay! Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Let's give thanks for Teresa and for all the kids. Children, thank you for showing us joy. Feel free to blow the bubbles throughout the service. Go ahead. I want to give Tanner a special shout out. Tanner, thank you for helping light the candles this morning. You did such a good job. We sent I think that's the most children we've had in a long time for Children's Time. So it's good to see all those kids. And we also took 9 and 2 adults to camp this week. 9 different youth. I want to invite Liam up. Liam's going to share a few words and some pictures with us about their time at Warren Willis Youth Camp.
Good morning. Camp this year was a ton of fun. I was there for high school sleepaway camp, and it was amazing. I not only made a bunch of friends from in and outside the country, but I also grew closer to God in my faith. I really want to thank people for supporting youth and allowing us to do cool stuff like this every year. I also want to thank Teresa and Dylan for taking us. We can be very tiring, especially on a 2-hour-long bus ride with not so great AC. So thank you to them. I want to thank this amazing congregation for making an accepting and loving place for us to grow up and always have someone to talk to on a Sunday afternoon. So thank you all. Thank you to Teresa and Dylan. That's it.
Thank you, Liam. And again, in just a little bit, we're going to watch a music video sung by Dylan and entitled No Stranger to the Rain. And just know this is a very important song to Don and for what he's going to share when we get to hear it in a few moments. I want to invite you to transition to a time of offering. If you wish to make an offering in person, you can do so at the offering box in the center of the room. Just get up during the next song, and you can place your money in there. Or you can join those online at allendaleumc.org/give. In sharing what we have, we practice community and solidarity with others and find our own belonging. Your gifts, your talents, your labor, your presence, your resources, whatever is yours to offer this day is welcome. May it mingle and swell with the gifts of others and be blessed by the liberating God.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, sent to rescue me from danger, interpose his precious love. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, oh, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above. Prone to wander, oh, I feel it, prone to leave the God I Take and seal it for thy courts above.
Thank you. Let us pray. When we desire to shift our lives towards wellness, may we be supported. When we work to undo patterns of harm, may we be resourced. When shame tells us that repair is a pipe dream, may community reach out a hand of kind relationship. We dedicate our offering to these dreams. Amen. Remember this portion of the story of God as it is written in the book we love, Romans chapter 7, verses 15 through 25, from the Inclusive Bible Translation. I don't understand what I do, for I don't do the things I want to do, but rather I do the things I hate. If I do the very thing I don't want to do, I'm agreeing that the law is good. Consequently, when what is happening to me is not really me, but the sin living in me. I know that no good dwells in me. That is, in my human nature, the desire to do right is there, but not the power. What happens is that I don't do good I intend to do, but the evil I do not intend. But if I do what is against my will, it is not I who do it, but the sin that dwells in me. This means that even though I want to do what is right, a law that leads to wrongdoing is always at hand. My inner self joyously agrees with the law of God, but I see in my body's members another law, in opposition to the law of mind that makes me the prisoner of the law of sin in my members. How wretched am I? Who can free me from the body under the power of death? Thanks be to God, it is Jesus our Savior. This is the word of God from the people of God. Thanks be to God.
I'm no stranger to the rain. I'm a friend of thunder. Friend, is it any wonder lightning strikes me? I fought with the devil, got down on his level, but I never gave in, so he gave up on me. I'm no stranger to the rain. I can spot bad weather, but I'm good at finding shelter in a downpour. I've been sacrificed by brothers, crucified by lovers, but through it all, I withstood the pain. I'm no stranger to the rain, and when I get that foggy feeling, the one I'm feeling now, if I don't keep my head up, I may drown. But it's hard to keep believing I'll even come out even while the rain beats a hole in the ground. And tonight it's really coming down. I'm no stranger to the rain. There'll always be tomorrow, and I'll beg still to borrow a little sunshine. I'll put this cloud behind me. That's how the man designed me, to ride the wind and dance in a hurricane. I'm no stranger to the rain. Oh no, I'm no stranger to the rain. I'm no stranger to the rain. I'm a friend of thunder. Is it any wonder lightning strikes me? Oh, I'll put this cloud behind me. That's how the man designed me, to ride the wind and dance in a hurricane. I'm no stranger to the rain. Oh, no, I'm no stranger to the rain.
All right, y'all. That's one of my favorite songs in the whole world. And I got a lot of them, because I'm a country music fan. So there's a lot of songs. Wasn't that great, Dylan doing that instrumental? I watched him do that. Dylan, he's our music man for the video, for the podcast. But I got to do a shout out here. I already did it to him. Cam, our great producer, the August producer for the podcast. See, when he gets faced with an unanticipated situation like Dylan can't be here today, you know what he did? Andy told me. Stayed up all night, built that video. Is that a hero or what? Go for Cam. Big hand. I love it. Also, we have the benefit back here on the drum somewhere, there she is, of my co-host for the podcast. Now, Andy came up with this great idea, knowing that I'm a seventh generation Texas redneck, a white guy. You know, he said, maybe this podcast will reach out and resonate and work better if you put together something that nobody would maybe expect. And I got the benefit of Bianca Goolsby. So let's give her a big hand. She's the Good idea, Andy. Good idea, and I love it. Okay, as y'all can tell, I absolutely love that song. What I want to do with y'all this morning, if you don't mind, and please do this with me, I'm not going to speak at you, I'm going to speak with you, and I'm going to speak to you. Because this is, I promise you, it's important. At least to me, and I think it will be to you. Before I do that, Andy, thank you for letting me do this. I appreciate it very much. Dr. Bob, thanks for doing your thing this morning. That thing with Paul, you're going to kind of see how that spiritual thing connects right in here. Sort of. Cool. And thanks to Cam, of course, and to Dylan, who did the song. And to folks that came here because I requested, Charlie and Marla, thank you so much for being here, and others, because it's important. It's real important. All right, I told you I absolutely love the song. I love the way Dylan did it. I love the instrumental that he did. It's the theme song for No Hate Radio. It'll be repeated partially and in full from time to time throughout it. We all have a little rain, don't we? But then in all truth and actuality, that song ain't about to rain, is it? Nope. It's about life. It's about living it. It's a song about trying to be who we are in the middle of a world that doesn't necessarily want us to be who we are, and who doesn't really always treat us like we have the right to be who we are. Now, I got to take a minute here to do this, something about the song, because it's why it's important. The song was actually written many years ago. Some of you may be old enough to know this, by a member of Buddy Holly's band. Remember Buddy Holly and the Crickets, early rock and roll. One of his members of the band wrote that song a long time ago, and then it got re-recorded many years later by an up-and-coming country artist named Keith Whitley. And Keith Whitley was a great country artist, had a great voice, had a kind of a down bass kind of voice, sounded great. And he was really up and coming in the country music field, winning all kinds of kudos in Nashville and doing great, but he had his devil. His was alcohol. We all got him, don't we? But his was alcohol. When he recorded this song, he was interviewed about it on a country music radio station, and he said, the song isn't biographical in that I didn't write it, but it was powerful what he said. He said, I could have. I could have, because it was about me. And I think about things like that. I'm big on song lyrics. He lost his battle with alcoholism. He was only about 27 years old. But he fought it all the way. He fought with the devil. He got right down on his level. And I think if we know where we're going and how we want to get there, we're going to keep begging, stealing, and borrowing a little sunshine too. That song's important. Now, it was completely by chance, but you heard today's scripture lesson from Dr. Bob. It actually ties in quite nicely with No Stranger to the Rain. Paul writes about his own inner struggle with sin, his desire to do what's right, his realization that he fails to live up to his own expectations. Paul was no stranger to the rain either. And this scripture is a great reminder that our internal battles can be as challenging as any we face in the world. It also reminds us of the power of self-awareness, of recognizing our own situation and striving to improve and to grow. It's a universal struggle regardless of who we are or where we came from. Life deals us those kind of things. Now, the No Hate Radio podcast idea surrounds describing life from a context of spirituality, God, love, real love, compassion, kindness, and trying to be who we are. But more importantly, maybe even than that, let everybody else be who they are. And that's going to bring me to what I'd like to preview today. I want to give you all the first look, but more importantly, the first feel of how the stories, the discussions that we plan to talk about on No Hate Radio. Now, we were originally planning to play a recorded portion of the first episode for you here today, but realized that having you just sit there and listen to recorded music for 20 minutes might not have been the most engaging. So we decided to do it in person. Cameron gave me a transcription of the story that I shared out in the physical recording sessions that are going to be released in the first episode. And I got a chance to do it for y'all. So you're first. You know, I come from a background in the law, as you know, some of you know anyway. And I got to thinking about this today, and what you are sort of is the jury. You're sort of the jury. Is this thing going to be any good? I'm going to be like Hank Williams. Can you bend the guitar strings? Can you make people feel what you feel inside? Because that's what we're trying to do here. And so this episode, it's going to be released as the first episode in the near future. It's going to have me on it. It's going to have Bianca on it. Cam's going to produce it. We're going to have the song by Dylan on there. And so I want you to kind of join with me. Do me a favor. Whatever you're thinking about lunch, or you need to put gas in the car, or something, cut it out. For the next few minutes, nothing in the world's going to change probably. So let's sync up. Let's get together here. And it's going to go something like this. Thank you for joining us on the Allendale Equity and Justice Channel. You're listening to No Hate Radio. Episode number 1 is entitled Woke at 7,000 Feet. And here we go. It's a story about my own very long, 20 years and still going, journey of self-awareness and growth. There are two big questions that I would ask, and I would want each of you to pay attention to and think about as I tell this story. One of them, why? The other one, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And you're going to figure out what I mean by all that as you listen to this. For this story, what I need you to do is ride with me in an airplane I was flying. I'm still here. I never have crashed one. Ride with me in that airplane that I was flying. And those of you who know me know that I like to fly airplanes. It's a thing I've loved for a long time. Bobby can tell you about all that. And I hope you will imagine yourself riding with me on this particular flight, because it really was something special. Wasn't supposed to be, but it was. I want you to be sitting here in the cockpit of this airplane while this thing happens, and then I want to talk about it. Now, it's a routine flight. I flew up from Denton, Texas to Wiley Post Airport in Oklahoma City. And it was a turnaround flight, so we turned immediately around, go Wiley Post Airport back to Denton, Texas. It wasn't a long flight, wasn't a commercial flight, wasn't a revenue flight, just a flight. I flew up from Denton, Texas to Wiley Post Airport in Oklahoma City, following another airplane that belonged to a friend of mine. He was going to take it up there to get it painted. That's how routine all this was. And after he went and made arrangements for his airplane and put it in the paint shop, he crawls back in the airplane with me, and we start to take off. Now, here's the thing I want y'all to get involved with. Please, buckle your seat belts, because here's where we're going from here. Listen with me how the flight went, how it progressed, how and where I was mentally, spiritually, physically, at each stage. Now here's the start. Anytime you fly airplanes, particularly if you fly what they call an instrument flight plan, you're going to do a lot of talking on the radio. That's how it works. And when you taxi out of a controlled airport like Wiley Post, you're going to talk to Wiley Post Ground Control and Wiley Post Tower, and then you're going to talk, in this case, to Oklahoma City Departure. Only they don't say Oklahoma City, it's too long. They say Oak City Departure. And then you're going to talk maybe to Fort Worth Center and DFW Approach and things like that. In this case, Fort Worth Center. And they're going to tell you where to go, what to do, where they want you, what's next. And it all happened kind of as follows. So be with me as I taxi off out of Wiley Post Airport in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma that night. I call in on the radio. Wiley Post, I'm talking to tower, ground tower. Wiley Post, November 2, Victor Charlie. I have my clearance and numbers holding short runway 18, ready for takeoff. They came back to me and said, Wiley Post comes back with 2 Victor Charlie, cleared to Denton as filed, maintain runway heading, climb to 2000, contact Oak City Departure 124.2. All routine. Boom, 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 boom. That's what you're doing. I switched the radio to Oak City Departure, say 2 Victor Charlie with you at 2000. They come back and say this. They say, 2 Victor Charlie climbed to 7,000, heading 170. Great. So I climb, turn the airplane, follow their instructions. In case you don't do math real quick, like I have to in an airplane, heading 170 is pretty much south. Oklahoma City to Denton, right? I'm going south. I've been focused exclusively on the instruments because that's what you do when you're flying instruments and reconfigured. Now then, I'm at 7,000, 170. Been focused on the instruments. Routine flight. You got your seatbelts on? Are you with me? Are you with me right now? Because I looked up. I looked up. You kind of glance up, you know, make sure there's some other airplane out there about to collide with you, but you don't actually do too much looking out on the instrument flight plan. But I looked up. It was the most beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful night I've ever seen, maybe in my whole life. I swear. It was outstanding. There was virtually no wind. There wasn't a cloud for 100 miles. You could see forever. In fact, I distinctly remember, I had the distinct impression I could see for 200 miles. Now I couldn't. That's not physically possible from 7,000 feet, but I thought so. I thought I could see for 200 miles. It sure felt like it. I could see the lights glimmering on the ground. I could see that there wasn't a cloud in the sky and it was a full moon. I could see runway lights and airport rotating beacons all way out there, probably all the way to the Texas line. November 2 Victor Charlie was a twin-engine airplane. So what you do is you sync those engines up and you get those tacks together, and so I'm doing that. And as I'm doing that, they start humming, and you know you got it right. Everything is sounding good. You know you got it right. The air is so smooth, not a bump. Next thing that happened to me is I get cleared direct to Denton, Texas. Now, that may not mean anything to you if you're not a pilot, but if you are and you're flying on an instrument flight plane and they clear you direct somewhere 150 miles away, that's sweet. That means at least in and around your altitude, there ain't nobody out there but you. And they're just saying, go home. Do it. So I did. So I'm out there on this beautiful night, this wonderful night. Now, please try to focus on that night. I mean, how many of you seen like that? They're just wonderful. Not a cloud, not a full moon, beautiful sky, nothing but beauty out there. Magnificent. And I'm not having to look very much at the instruments. I'm looking out the window, and it was almost, maybe it was, but I'll say almost, like God was out there looking back at me through the windows of 2 Victor Charlie. Remember the John Denver song, you could talk to God and wait for the casual reply? I really felt like that's where I was. Suddenly I felt like that's where I was. And my friend sitting next to me was kind of half dozing off, sitting in the seat. And I said to him, headsets, you know, you talk through the headset, you can't talk directly. Bobby won't wear one, so I can't talk to her in the airplane. But, you know, I say to him, Steve, look at that. Look at that. What an outstanding sight. Is that not magnificent looking out there? And my friend made a comment. Now, he never knew that it was probably the beginning of a life-changing and earth-shattering comment for me, because it was just such a casual comment on his part. He said, isn't it a shame that everybody can't do this? Now, I understand. You know, it started me on a process of just thinking. I was looking out at that magnificent view, and I realized not very many people do get to see something like that. Ever. Not very many people get to experience what I experienced that night. And I started thinking, why is it everybody can't do this? Now, I know that you're going to sit in this thing, I don't want to be in an airplane, I don't care anything about airplanes. Let's don't get in the weeds about that. That's not what it's about. That's not the subject. That's not my point. What I was really thinking was, why is it that people that everyone from different backgrounds and different belief systems and different races, different socioeconomic levels, why is it in this country supposedly founded on equal justice? Supposedly founded on the premise that all persons are created equal, why is it that we have fallen so woefully short of freedom and equality? Why have we never fully achieved it? And I'm going to ask you one more why. Maybe you never couched it this way, and I finally did, got smart enough, finally. Why have we institutionalized the systems that elevate some and stifle others for no good reason? Why have we done that? Why? You know, the founder of Toyota Motor Company said you got to ask why 5 times to get to the root cause of anything. Not a bad philosophy. I began to be aware of something that I had not been aware of before. Something I eventually, much later, many years later, came to understand to be what's called white privilege. I began to recognize that I was getting something that most people not only weren't getting, but really never get to hope or dream about. And when you're doing all that, I don't know how far I got, by the way, on the trip, how long I spent thinking about all that during that flight, but I probably burned up a pretty good section of sky while I was doing it. It's a thought pattern and a process that has never left me. It never ever left me. I began to be the guy asking why about everything, much to the annoyance of some of my other friends and neighbors, all of whom were persons pretty much enjoying their white privilege. And I spent a long time reassessing and looking differently and examining things and coming from a little different perspective, a little more each time, a little more each year, you know, getting a little better, looking at things a little different. And I believe I eventually became woke. Woke from a flight at 7,000 feet. I believe that's what happened. And that's hard to say because in my formative years, in my growing up years, when I became the person that I was, I grew up a 7th generation Texan. I grew up in the middle of the oil patch where you got overnight millionaires and overnight people going broke, and the most important thing on the news is a high school football game and the rig count in Odessa and the price of crude oil. That's where I grew up. That's where I was formed. That's where I became somebody. And I went to my all-white church and had my all-white preacher talk to the all-white congregation about the straight and narrow way. And I never thought about it. Where's everybody else? Where's everybody else? You think now, well, how dumb were you? I know. I don't know what to say about that. But I blame preachers. But not Andy, of course. But I do in a lot of ways. Because I don't know. But there it was. And it all started, it had its genesis, it had its little beginning, the seed, on this routine flight from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma to Denton, Texas, on a night when a friend of mine just casually said, isn't it a shame that everybody don't get to do this? Now, I don't think this whole idea of woke is an overnight proposition. I don't. For most people, I believe it happens like it happened to me, in my case, 20 years and still working on it. Because we are who we became from as younger people. I'm doing something, flying for example, that I immensely enjoy. I'm doing something that's expensive to do. I'm doing something that very few people get a chance to do, and whether it's airplanes or boats or motorcycles or traveling around the world or gambling in Las Vegas or serving in public office or attending a great university or teaching in a public school, I don't care what it is, we ought to be able to have an equal chance to get there and to do it, achieve it, be there. And we don't. Most people stop right there when they figure out, hey, I'm a person with white privilege. I got it. I got it. So aren't I lucky? This is great. I need to get even more. I need to be richer. I need a big house, but then I need another house. I need a vacation home, and then I need a second vacation home in another location because I'm rich. I'm a white guy. I'm privileged. I've been lucky. I got money. And they fail to move on to the next point, which by now you figured this out, I'm going to say is why. Why? Or as Bobby's always teasing me, why, like Texas. Why? Why am I here and why are so many people not here? How come? What's the answer to that? Why do so many people not get that choice, don't get that opportunity? If you knew my background, which is in law, and as a member of the legal community and the judiciary, and I was educated, I got to go to a great university, trained, licensed in the law, elected as a judge. I began to look at the law when it's used as a de jure form of discrimination. I begin to look at the de facto discrimination that arises out of it. And then I begin to think about systems specifically designed to perpetuate the kind of oppression and discrimination and how they have existed in America from the very first day that white settlers set foot on this land belonging to the Native American tribes who we properly crushed their culture and stole their land. Aren't we fine people? So I have this question for those of us in this room and online who come from a place of privilege. Let's say you do. Let's say you do come from a place of privilege. Or as one of my instructors used to say, okay, super pilot, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You got it. What are you going to do with it? So I've got white privilege. I do. I've been lucky. I've been blessed. I haven't had that mountain of barriers against me accomplishing things. And maybe the whole unfairness in the entire system is why I got it. But as Will Rogers used to say, don't look back. We ain't going that way. We ain't going that way. Let's look forward and see what we can do with it. Have you noticed that there's a lot of people who talk about woke like it's a bad thing? You notice that? Like it's a bad thing. Woke. Have you ever heard DeSantis use the word woke? He can't do it with a straight face, can he? He says that Florida is the place where woke goes to die. So I want to ask y'all a question. And it's a serious question, and it's going to be asked on the podcast. Is that what we want? Is that what we want? We want woke to come to Florida to die? It's clear that a majority of our legislators want that. Clear by their votes, clear by how they operate, what they ask, what they do. When we start releasing episodes of this podcast, we're going to dive into that. We're going to bring in different voices and different perspectives to talk about it. And we're going to ask why. Why has woke become a controversial term? Why do you think DeSantis and a majority of our legislators talk about woke as though it's a bad thing? Why do you think their experiences are so vastly different from those of, let's say, John Lewis, who spent 50 years in the U.S. Congress, kind of trying to champion human rights, civil rights. Why is their experience so much different? Well, just so we're clear, okay, y'all get ready for this. Are you still with me? Woke is a definable term. People say, well, what is woke after all? Woke is a definable term. It's the realization and acknowledgement of past and present social injustices and is in its essence an awareness. It's about awareness and action. That's what it is. It's about acknowledging that even though none of us are strangers to the rain, that the storms of life hit some harder than others, and not because of our own actions or our own worth or lack of worth or anything else. It's because of systemic imbalances and structural prejudices built into our social system and given the force of law. Oh yeah, some of us, as Keith Whitley said, some of us are friends of thunder and we ride the wind and dance in a hurricane, but most of us don't. Most of us don't. I don't care what color you are, what your gender identity or sexual orientation or socioeconomic condition or marital status or any of that is. We all have some common hopes and dreams. Let's return to a pivotal question I have. White privilege, what am I going to do with it? For someone like me, remember a white man, a 7th generation Texan born and bred redneck, what am I going to do with it? It's about recognizing this privilege I have not out of guilt, but out of a deep-seated desire for justice, which is elusive as it can be, and equality. It's asking the tough questions like, why can't everyone have what I've had, or at least have a fair shot, a fair chance at it? Why do some face steeper or impossible barriers to success and prosperity? Just as we're not defined by the storms we weather, we should not be defined by the privilege we hold, but rather by what we choose to do with it. It's not a burden nor a badge of superiority, but a tool for transformation. Yes, there are systemic imbalances, and I believe, had a conversation with John yesterday about this, I believe they're based on two things. Those systemic imbalances have been tediously created out of hate and fear. Hate and fear, I think. You can quote me on that. I believe that's true. And they make it harder for some and easier for others, but acknowledgement alone doesn't change anything. It's what you do with it, the actions that follow. For me, for this guy, standing in front of you, trying to talk with you today, trying to make you feel what I'm feeling inside, it's this podcast. It's doing this podcast because I'm trying to revive, and maybe it's futile, but I don't want to believe it. I'm trying to revive the lost art of thoughtful dialogue and mutual respect. That's what I'm hoping, that our little podcast in our little town, and maybe we influence nobody, maybe we influence 50 people, maybe 20. One thing I don't have anymore is delusions of grandeur. What I want to do is some good. Are y'all all with me here? Are y'all? I want to do some good. So, remember how Andy told you and I told you and how much I love that song, No Stranger to the Rain? I asked him, and he and Cam agreed to set this up for me. We're going to do it again. Usually you don't do the same song twice, right? The same service, but then look at this service. It's weird anyway, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to do that same song again, but this time, sing it with us. Sing it with us. Maybe you're going to feel what I feel inside about what's wrong and what we're going to do with it. And Cam, can you cue it up? Let's do it again.
I'm no stranger to the rain. I'm a friend of thunder. Friend, is it any wonder lightning strikes me? I fought with the devil, got down on his level, but I never gave in, so he gave up on me. I'm no stranger to the rain. I can spot bad weather, but I'm good at finding shelter in a downpour. I've been sacrificed by brothers, crucified by lovers, but through it all, I withstood the pain. I'm no stranger to the rain.
Come on, sing with us.
The one I'm feeling now, if I don't keep my head up, I may drown. But it's hard to keep believing I'll even come out even while the rain beats a hole in the ground. And tonight it's really coming down. I'm no stranger to the rain. There'll always be tomorrow. Begs to borrow the sunshine. I'll put this cloud behind me. It's how the man designed me to ride the wind and dance in the hurricane. I'm no stranger to the rain. Oh no, I'm no stranger to the rain.
Andy, you can have the church back.
Let's give Dawn thanks again. And Erica, let's stand, and Erica's going to lead us in a refrain to transition us. Dawn, thank you so much for the words you had to share. And after we sing this, after Teresa shares a few things from the community coming up, you're going to have an opportunity, those of you who want to join the church, if that's on your heart this morning, we're going to invite you to come up and join this wild bunch. Erica, let's stand and sing.
All right, guys, join me on this one. Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. Do that again. Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can see it coming, and I can hear it singing. It's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can hear it coming, and I can hear it singing. It's not just possible, it's on its way. Another world. Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can see the children, and I can hear creation. It's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can see the children, and I can hear creation. It's not just possible, it's on its way. Another world. Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. Do you believe that, church? Another world, it's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can see it dancing, I can hear it praying. It's not just possible, it's on its way. And I can see it dancing, and I can hear it praying. It's not just possible, it's on its way.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa. I'm the Director of Student Ministries, and I just want to talk to you about some really amazing things happening here on campus at Allendale. Next week, we have Girls Rock St. Pete coming in to take over our entire campus to learn how to rock and roll and to put on a rock and roll show that will end on Saturday, July 22nd at Janus Live. They'll be performing at Janus. So we invite all of y'all to come and support. These are kids between the ages of 8 and 18. They come in not knowing how to play an instrument and leave rock and roll stars. So it's a really great organization, so I hope that you're able to join us next Saturday. Also, on Saturday, July 29th at the Fusion Resort, Judy Haynes will be performing, and that's just a meet and hangout kind of event. And so those are our two big meet and hangout events. And then we have two amazing things here today. So in the community center, we have a licensed nurse and a group of people who are giving out vaccines. So vaccines like the Mpox vaccine, COVID boosters, anything that y'all need. You can go talk to the nurse right now and see, is this something that I need? Where am I at? And so they're right behind you. They're right there. If you would come and just they're right there in the blue. So you don't even have to go to the community center. They're just right there. So go talk to them, and they'll take you to the community center to get you vaccinated. And vaccines work. So they're great. And then finally, I have Alexis Gracie with the United Tissue Network, and she's going to come up and speak.
Hi, good morning, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat. I am so glad to be here. I work for a company named United Tissue Network. What we do is whole body donation. We're a nonprofit for people that want to donate their bodies to science after they pass. But what I really want to say is how I got here today. That's what I really want to come on mic to say. And 20 years ago, I was part of a church, and I did not feel accepted. And my boss said, "Hey, I want you to reach out to a different part of the community, something that you might not be comfortable with." And I turned to my partner and I said, "What am I going to do? I'm just not familiar with the church space." And they said, "Oh, well, that's easy. You should go to the church that slays down the street." I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. And I even protested with my manager. I said, "Well, how do I even get in contact with a church? There's such a huge, congregation. How do I meet these people?" And my manager goes, "Oh, just call." I said, "Churches have phones?" So I did. I called and I met some wonderful people, and it's really a blessing to be invited this way, and I did not think I would end up in such a warm and welcoming space. So if you want to learn more about whole body donation, or if you want to give me the opportunity to thank you for feeling welcome here, I'll be in the booth in the back. Thank you so much, y'all.
And she has a table set up in the back. I hope you visit her. Those that are planning to join the church, anyone here? We had a couple sign up online. Come on up, come on up. If there's anyone else, come on. Yeah, okay, come on right up. Great. And for those of you who are considering, every second Sunday of the month, we give this opportunity. Come on, Brad. Brad, if you just want to share what first brought you here, and then we'll welcome you.
Okay, great. Hi, I did not have joining a church on my bingo card for 2023, but here I am. I got close to somebody who was going to this church, and he brought me in here, and I thought, oh, this is actually really nice. So, boy, it's scary being behind a microphone. Anyway, but all of you are so lovely, so I don't know why I'm scared. Anyway, I'm very happy to join you all, and this has been super. My pronouns are he, him. I missed that part earlier. Anyway, bye.
Brad, will you use the power God gives you to resist evil, injustice, and oppression in all its forms?
Absolutely, I will.
And will you join us in supporting Allendale with your prayers, your presence, your gifts, your service, and your witness?
I will do all those things.
Awesome. Let's share some words for Brad. We give thanks for all that God has already given you, and we welcome you in Christian love. As members together with you in the body of Christ and in this congregation of the United Methodist Church, we renew our covenant faithfully to participate in the ministries of the church by our prayers, our presence, our gifts, our service, and our witness. And Brad, I'll invite you to join me at the end of the service so that people can properly welcome you.
Super.
So,
I'm in.
Yeah, great.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And Dr. Bob, if you'll come and share with us the benediction. And Dawn, if you'll join me, we'll be out. I'm sure a lot of people will have a lot of words for you. And thank you again for sharing it. And the podcast is going to be made available through our email. It'll be on our website. Cameron, when do you think we're going live with it? Probably a month or so. Yeah, about a month or so. We're going to get a few more episodes recorded so that we'll be able to keep up with the pace. The idea is that Dawn wants to interview people in the congregation, in the community that are doing amazing work, but where that they find the spirituality in the work that they're doing and intersect with the story and experience that he just shared. Dawn, thank you again. Dr. Bob, if you'll share our benediction.
Receive the benediction. Go forth blooming like the wildflowers, for you are delighted in and are beloved and are intently worthy. May your blooming invite others into their own flourishing in their own time, for God celebrates the garden of our wild thriving.
And if you'll stand, may God go before you to defend you, go behind you to protect you, go beneath you to uphold you, rest above you to bless you, and dwell within you to comfort you now and forever. Go in peace.